Getting a fancy new bike is cool and all, but you know what's really cool is getting fast for cheap. You know, one thing we talk a lot about when it comes to cycling performance is watts per kilogram. But one thing nobody talks about is watts per dollar. In other words, what's the best bang for your buck? What's the least amount of money I can spend in order to realize the biggest performance increase when upgrading my equipment? Here to help answer that question is teammate Brad. Ready to run some tests, buddy? Yeah, so we're headed out to Sea Canyon. What's cool about Sea Canyon is it's great for testing. The bottom is pretty flat, and then bam, all of a sudden it cranks up to like 8 or 9%. So when Brad runs out and is doing some test runs, we're gonna be able to test a couple of things. Rolling resistance and aerodynamics down on the flat section, and then when the road tilts up to like 8 or 9%, obviously we're gonna be testing climbing performance. All right, so here's how we're doing it. We have all these wheels, all these tires, and we have a blank slate over here, which is Brad's Factor Monza. You guys know I've been working with Factor a little bit. I turned mine into the ultimate crit bike. There it is over there. And with Brad's, we're trying to figure out like how can we build it the fastest for the cheapest. So we're gonna put different tires on different wheels. We're even gonna change a group set later on to try to answer that question. But first, let's talk about actually like how we're gonna run these tests. Oh, and before I forget, you have a chance to win a Factor Monza. There's a giveaway link in the description, takes just a couple of minutes. You can build it your way. Now I better help this guy build up some wheels and tires. So with each tire and wheel configuration here, we are pumping up pressures to their optimal PSI according to the Silka tire pressure calculator. It's the same power meter on Brad's bike. Brad will be targeting the same power in between runs. It's the same course, obviously. And the way we do this is we have a starting point and a finishing point. Brad hits his target power, hits the lap button, and then hits the lap button again at the finishing point. And then we'll have data to compare. The first half of the run is on the flat bottom part of the segment here, and then the second half of the run is up the steep bit. What am I missing, Brad?
That was everything.
That was everything? What are you gonna hit, 350 watts?
I think I'll be aiming closer to 1,000. We'll see how she goes.
He's not gonna stand up, right? This is kind of tricky, actually. Not gonna stand up because that will impact the aero results throughout the run.
I also haven't ridden in like a month and a half, so I don't really know what I can do now.
So not 1,000.
We're gonna aim lower than 1,000.
And also he's gonna have the same water bottle with the same amount of water, which is that one up there. And we'll do some weight comparisons between these setups in between runs anyway. Bradley, we're ready. Test number 1, what do we got?
Test 1, so we've got the, I've already forgotten the name of these wheels. Want to run that one more time?
Yeah. All right, Bradley, run number 1, what do we got?
Starting out with the Super Team Classic wheels. They're 45 mil depth, paired with some specialized road sport tires. Wheels probably $450-ish. I think these tires are like 35 bucks a pop. This is kind of going to represent wheels and tire combo that will come stock on your entry to mid-level race bike. So we'll try these out, see how they go, and then
let's do the all-important weigh-in here. Yeah, weigh-in. Oh, and we decided no bottle. We're just doing no bottle because these runs are only going to be like 10 minutes or so each. 18.65. All right. Ready for it?
Ready for it. I'm already in the 50-10, which is the only gear I'm going to use this time.
Let's go. All right, big dog, how'd it go? Run number 1 done.
Good. We'll see what it says when we upload, but according to the head unit, it was 260 on the nose, so hopefully we should be able to stay consistent with the next 2 and not have too much discrepancy between tests.
How'd the intro setup feel? This is, of course, the Super Teams with the $35 Super Sport tires. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, the Road Sport.
Road Sport tires. How'd it feel?
The old Road Sports felt like I think probably they should. A little rough, maybe exaggerated by my lack of riding in the last 90 days or so, but Felt pretty rough. It's a rough road out here. Some higher volume tires would be nice, maybe with a little bit more supple rubber, but.
I was wondering when you flipped it on the steep part and came back, you can get a little technical on some of those corners and fast.
For sure, yeah. Having some little bit grippier rubber definitely gives you a little bit more confidence on the twisties up on Sea Canyon, especially when it's like kind of wet and and shady, which it is right now. So these didn't feel great on the way down, but you know, they're not really supposed to be. They're a bulletproof training tire. They're not gonna feel great.
I find the biggest differences come with lower quality tires, harder compound tires, in order of impact it makes. Least impactful when you're climbing, low speed on good pavement, doesn't really matter. High speed on crappy roads is when you feel it the most. That's why I was asking about like a corner on this technical descent.
Yeah, the corners, I mean, I wasn't going crazy there anyways, but didn't feel great. And yeah, on this kind of broken road surface, just not a great feeling tire. And they're a little narrower too. I mean, 28s, they're not narrow, but compared to some of the things we're gonna throw on, they will measure a little narrow.
Yeah, on that note, why don't we swap out another set of 28s, but this time like race compound. We're gonna be putting on the tried and true Conti GP 5000s. You'll feel a little better with those, I hope. Let's find out. All right, bud, what do we got this time?
Same wheels. The Super Team Classic 45 mil. Paired now with some GP 5000s in a 28 mil. So same width as the last tire that we were running, the Specialized tires, but a little bit nicer rubber now. We'll see what the difference is on paper, and we'll see how it feels different as well.
I think this is like the first upgrade that people make, and for good reason. I suspect that for the additional cost, which isn't much for tires, we're gonna see a significant improvement. Not necessarily in time, although I think we will, but I think it's gonna feel different. You're gonna let us know after the run. And shout out Tanwall. I mean, I think that adds at least 20 or 30 watts.
Dude.
To the Tanwalls. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say 120, but
it looks really
a little bit different for everybody.
It looks really good. Why don't you go out and see how fast it is?
Let's do it.
He's back from the second run. How'd it feel?
Noticeable difference in the tires. The lower section here is pretty rough pavement. Going to the GP 5000 was like a super big immediate difference over, you know, those less expensive tires. Just, I mean, we're running them at the same volume, they're the same width, so it's got to chalk it up to compound.
So noticeable, like if there was a way to put the tires on in some blind test, you feel pretty confident you'd be like, these are the GP 5000s, these are, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, there's an extra probably 50 to a million watts from the Tanwalls, but even if these were not Tanwalls, way more supple, way more comfortable. Even in the same tire width, over a very rough surface, these are night and day difference.
Yeah, these roads aren't great, that's for sure. But it's not like out of control. Like this is, I feel like, what a lot of people would experience.
Yeah, this isn't like a wild gravel road or anything. I feel like this is pretty typical for roads, especially here in the Central Coast, but anywhere in the state and really in the country, to be honest.
Is it faster? It's more comfortable. You felt more confident in the corners and the crappy roads, but is it faster? We're gonna find out. We hit the lap button, we had the same power. But before we go look at the results, I wanna do one more swap and throw some more money at solving this problem of getting faster. Let's do that now.
1.1, that's insane.
Show it to me, show it to me. Yeah. That is a little over half a pound entire. Same volume, same size, just different compound.
Dude, I did not. I thought the scale was wrong.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, confirmed. I didn't realize there's that big of a difference in tires. I mean, these have like a wire bead, I think, right?
Yeah, they're wired. They're not a folding bead, but even still, like,
dude, heavy tires.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Immediate weight benefit from going GP 5000. Who knew?
Dude, that's probably weight-wise. That is $40 extra.
Yeah.
By far the most weight savings you can get for $40.
Yeah,
it's not close, yeah?
People don't talk. I didn't realize there's that big of a difference between like entry level $35 tires and, you know, performance.
Rotational weight too.
Yeah, huge, huge. Our final setup, This is the race day setup. We've thrown some more money at the problem. I think these are $1,500 rims. Sometimes they go on sale. Tires are in the neighborhood of $100. GP5000s like before. These are a little bit wider. We've matched them for the wider rim on the number 6s, which are wide internals and externals. I can't remember what they are, but we're taking now advantage of the clearance on the Factor because they can accept up to 34s. I've realized maybe even a little bit bigger, 35s. You run 35s.
I've got 35s on narrower rims.
So it kind of depends on like how it's actually measured.
Yeah, they measure narrower.
Separate discussion for a separate video. But the point is we have like race day setup. This isn't a $50 or $100 upgrade. This is a $1,500 upgrade. Does it make a difference on run number 3?
Let's find out.
Same Brad, same power.
We hope.
Okay, Lab Rat, last one. Go for it, buddy. All right, round 3 done. He's back. Brad, how'd it feel?
Good. This is the race day setup. We've got high performance wheels and tires, similar tires but higher volume compared to the last one, especially on these wheels. Felt about the same as the last setup.
Really? I was expecting this to be like...
I was expecting a big difference, especially after the first setup to the second setup. That was a huge difference. It felt about the same. Felt, similar on the chunky stuff down here. After you flip it and you start coming down the descent, feels about the same as the last one. A lot more confidence just in the rubber compound compared to the first, specialized tires. But yeah, we'll see how it stacks up with the times.
Yeah, interesting. I'm curious to see what all these times look like. I am not gonna make you do a 4th run. The original plan was to swap the group set. Good news is I already have results and what changing the group set actually means when it comes to times. Let's go back to the garage. We'll talk about results.
I'm happy to go home. Yeah.
Okay, we're back. We have results, and it's all about the tires.
It's just the tires.
That's it. Later, guys. Like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about the results because we learned some stuff today about bikes. I was pretty shocked at the results. Let's just dive into it. We're going to put the results on the screen as we talk about them. We started with the cheap setup. Cheap tires, cheap wheels, something like $450. You can have this whole setup. Let's summarize. How did it feel? A little bit chattery out
Bad, there. Yeah. I mean, most of that's the tires. Maybe all of that is the tires. Just lower quality training tires over a rough surface. Yeah, it feels bad. Feels not good.
Feels not good. And it took you 11 minutes and 9 seconds going 260 watts. So just to summarize this course, again, broken up into 2 segments, more on that in a minute. 4.2 kilometers with 155 meters of elevation, most of it coming at the end. So we're gonna be able to show these results kind of in 2 parts, which is gonna help us describe the differences in this equipment and how to best inform your purchase decisions. Let's go on to the second setup here, and then we're gonna dive into the details a bit more. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Second setup was the cheaper wheels, but now we had the more expensive tires, the Continental GP5000s, also 28 millimeters, also pumped up to the recommended most optimal tire pressure according to the Silca calculator. We saved, you want to do it?
21 seconds.
21 seconds, which is a lot. It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be like 2 seconds.
Honestly, me too. I was like, dude, we're not going to find any differences out here. I was really shocked that this was a 21-second savings because it's such a short segment. You have to think this is only 10, 11 minutes long. Just 10 minutes, 48 seconds at 261 watts. Couldn't hit 260, which is perfect.
Yeah, that was on me.
So when you finished your ride, you're like, it feels better, it's much more supple, it grips the road, more confidence in the corners, more comfortable ride, which let's not forget, if you're at the end of the ride and your bones are all shattered from being on cheap tires, that's gonna suck. But now we know it's also just objectively faster. I don't know what the percent is. It's a lot. It's like, I was shocked by this. And a funny thing, when we weighed the second setup, I'm like, dude, we have some funny takes from this that I recorded. I was like, dude, you forgot to zero the scale.
And then I said, no, you forgot to zero the scale, but someone forgot to zero the scale.
We learned, because we've pulled the tires off, we're getting to the bottom of this. Those cheap tires, I guess it's the wire bead or it's like the harder compound, something. Again, 28s. It was a like 3/4 of a pound difference, more than a half a pound difference in just the tires, the part that's rotating. So we're gonna talk more about weight and we're gonna talk about the differences between the 2 segments in a second, but that was surprising. Equally surprising was the fast setup, right? The high performance wheels, the high performance tires.
The same.
The same, down
Really?
to the second.
Yeah, same exact.
Yeah, 10
time.
minutes, 48 seconds, 260 watts. I also was expecting, your take when you finished, you're like, I thought it was gonna feel different. It didn't really feel different. Also, it wasn't more performant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of big tires. I think they feel great. I was surprised that having a little bit wider rubber on a race wheel wasn't a bigger difference. I was very
Yeah.
surprised.
And with that said, let's now dive into the differences between the first half of the segment, which is flattish and fast, and then the second half of the segment, which is like 8 or 9% or something. So this is where it gets interesting, because that initial setup, it's just 21 seconds slower, was most of the gains are in the lower section. And to me, this makes sense because the tires. Everything comes back to the tires in this video.
Specifically the rolling resistance. I mean, the
Yeah.
weight too, I'm sure is a factor on the climb, but
Yeah, good point. Let's talk about weight for a sec. The more expensive race day setup, even with the bigger tires, is the lightest overall. So obviously it climbed the fastest, just like we'd expect. But keep in mind, these tests were steady state. Crits and mass start racing in general is different. There are accelerations. We know, based on force equals mass times acceleration, that weight has a lot more to do with just climbing. It has to do with everything you experience in a race. But here's the interesting thing. The middle setup rolled the fastest on the lower section. And a quick note about rolling resistance, because it can be kind of an abstract concept. So here's this analogy that I like to use to help people visualize what this means. So you're in Trader Joe's and you're pushing a shopping cart around and you feel like you're in Formula One.
yeah, ripping.
Ripping, because those little steel wheels have the equivalent of 1,000,000 PSI, right? Now when you get outside, you think the pavement is smooth, it's not. And you're pushing your cart out to the back of your car and you are fighting to push this thing. That's a good analogy to rolling resistance. The tire needs to conform and absorb the impact of all those little imperfections in the road. So this feels more comfortable.
Feels more comfortable. Trader Joe's would be like a velodrome, and then outside would be
What
the
we
real,
rode on
the
today,
real world. Yeah,
crappy roads that we rode on today,
And
or
if-
gravel road or something.
yeah. Having that nicer rubber, man, just feels better, but it's also obviously way faster.
Yeah, 17 seconds immediately saved just on the lower section. But let's take a second to actually discuss all of these results rapid fire. So the race setup was the lightest and therefore climbed the fastest. And I suspect that it lost a few seconds on the flats because of the aerodynamic penalty of wider tires. See, rolling resistance has diminishing returns, and we probably had oversized tires for these particular conditions, leading to the slightly slower bottom section. Track racers on a perfectly smooth velodrome don't care about rolling resistance and run like 19s because all they care about is aerodynamics. The middle setup was slightly heavier, so it climbed slightly slower, but it made up for that with slightly better aerodynamics that we talked about, which means it broke even with the expensive setup. And then the entry-level setup, which was both heavier and had worse rolling resistance, making it slower on both. So I used to suggest to people to ride and train when they're not racing on like the gator skins, the armadillos, the really robust tires. But I think my view has shifted a little bit because the ride quality is so much worse with lower quality tires, setting aside performance, because when you're training, you don't really care. But there is a sweet spot. I don't think you need to go out on the highest performance supple tires that are gonna flat all the time. They're expensive. But I think that there's some good options. We'll link some. I'm sure you have some opinions on good tires that are that have a good value proposition. But man, tires make the biggest difference is what we learned. And before we wrap, we did promise a fourth run that I did not make you do, which is a group set swap. So here's the theoretical savings. If you were to go from rival to red, we put all this data into a calculator, which we'll put on the screen right now also. Well, the savings is about 500 grams. And what's the time difference?
I think it was 2.4 seconds.
2.4 seconds. So you spend 10,000 bucks on a bike, that's cool and all, but just make sure that you have the right tires because everything comes back to tires. It's literally like 40 bucks. As promised, I'll put everything on the screen in terms of dollars spent to seconds saved. And based on our testing, you can see why we keep talking about the importance of tires. Using the cheap rim and tire combo as our baseline, you can spend $2.60 to save a second by upgrading your tires, or you can spend $958 to save that same second by upgrading your group set. And that's not even taking into consideration all of the other benefits of tire upgrades we've already talked about, like cornering, confidence, comfort. And I'd be remiss not to take this opportunity to plug my course, because obviously having a higher FTP is gonna improve your speed, dialing in your strategy is gonna improve your speed, your nutrition obviously, and having a better position on the bike, lowering your head, getting more aerodynamic, that's free speed. All of these topics are covered in detail in my masterclass, so check out the link in the description. We just started our annual sale. So thanks again to Factor. Don't forget, guys, you can win a Monza and build it your own way. As long as you're putting nice tires on there, then we're gonna be happy with you. Thank you, Brad, for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Always a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Catch you guys in the next one.